Rolling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Weekly Cinema, the monthly podcast where we talk about films. I'm your host, McKenna Coleman, here with my co-host,
Gabe Late.
And special guest,
Mr. Gardner.
Woo! And we graduate in 30 weeks. All right. Yeah, we've been counting them down every episode. Thought it'd be kind of fun.
I'll still be here.
You will still be here. That's true. That's true. We won't. But while we're here with another episode, a little two-parter to our Halloween special that we did yesterday. Well, actually, I guess it's today, same day. But anyways, happy Halloween. And today we are going to actually finally review a movie again like the show was intended to be. And today we are reviewing the one and only, there we go, that should be in focus, Silence of the Lambs. As you see, I have the Criterion version as, full circle, like when we did the episode for the first time.
I've never seen the Criterion version.
Yeah, it's awesome. The disc is still in my DVD player, but has a lot of cool bonus features that I didn't get a chance to check out. But there's also a little booklet here with so much information about the shooting. So that was really, really cool. But yeah, today we're going to talk about it a bit, give our thoughts. And Mr. Gardner is joining us today as a very special guest because you're a fan of the movie, we heard.
Yeah, maybe embarrassingly so, because I've watched this movie probably, I don't know, a couple of dozen times.
Really? Oh, man. So but you're well-versed on it.
I'm just fascinated by it because it's a horror movie that's not really a horror movie.
Right.
It's more of a suspense. There's not a lot of the violence is suggested.
Right.
But it doesn't make it any less scary.
Exactly.
Which is
the
hallmark of a good filmmaker, I think.
Right. Yep. And it's I think it just really messes with you in the head a little bit, not a lot of like blatant just in your face craziness. It's more slow and methodical, just like Hannibal Lecter.
Mm-hmm.
So let's give our quick reviews. We're each going to go around, and we're just going to give it, if you can, out of 10, a rating, and then just a quick spiel before we get into the details of, real quick, what you thought about the movie, highlights, that stuff like that. So I'll go first. Watching this movie, first time, and I got to say it was quite the experience. I really did enjoy it. I didn't know what to expect going into it because I've just heard so much about it over the years, and you never really know if it's like one of those where it's like, oh, it's iconic because it's one of those classic horror movies, kind of like Scream or Halloween, that kind of set the foundation. But no, this is iconic because it's genuinely a masterpiece. Like, it's actually really good. I feel like the writing was incredible. What's her name? Jodie Foster. Yes, Jodie Foster, I thought was great in this movie. She sounds a lot like the lady from Incredibles, but it's not the same actress. I don't know, because I guess she has a more southern twang to her accent, but it sounds very alike, which I don't know if anyone else knows that. But and then, of course, Anthony Hopkins. I mean, phenomenal. It's so creepy and off-putting and unsettling. It's insane. And then, of course, like the main, the Bill, what's the name? The Buffalo Bill, yes. That I wasn't expecting that kind of plot point. I didn't know anything about that going out. I only knew about like Hannibal Lecter, but that was genuinely like terrifying too. And whoever played that character did a phenomenal job as well. But yeah, I thought it was incredible. Cinematography was awesome. There's a lot of highlights that we'll get into after this, but I will say I genuinely enjoyed it a lot, and I'll give it a solid 9 out of 10 just for relating to other stuff we've rated on the show. But McKenna.
So I also watched this movie for the first time, and just to tell you how efficient we are at this has been on our list since season 1, and we are finally getting to it in the final season of this show. But that's aside the point. Watching this movie, I was genuinely disturbed, and it took me a while to figure out like what was going on with the subtle hints they were giving and everything. My parents were like, "Did you get it yet? Like, do you know what he's doing?" I'm like, "No, I don't."
Yeah.
But just the thought of it, just like, it's, ugh. I don't even know what else to say, but it was just so well done that no matter regardless of how disturbing or off-putting this movie is, for me, it deserves like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
It was great. And for Anthony Hopkins only having like less than 20 minutes of screen time, that says something about it. Like that is, I think, standard for a movie villain to be that off-putting with that little amount of time that they have on screen.
Right. Mr. Gardner?
Well, I give this. I'm leaning towards 10, but I'm just going to give it a 9.5. And the reason I'm going to give it that high of a rating, one, it's rewatchable. Like a lot of horror films, like there's not a lot of depth to them. It's more about the jump scares, the like you said, like you watch Friday the 13th. I mean, the villain's probably on the screen double the amount, right?
Right.
And it's all just about it's just plot driven. Whereas this is really character driven. It's relationship driven, which is weird to say about a horror film. But you could watch this multiple times and pick up something new every time. Just the interactions between Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling, Jodie Foster's character, you can watch those interactions over and over again and pick up little nuances every time you watch it.
Oh yeah. It's that whole like kind of relationship type deal that happened throughout the movie was very, very like gripping. I don't know what the right word for it is, but it hooked me. It hooked me like crazy, and that was again something I was not expecting. In the book, Jodie Foster has an introduction, and she says, "It's safe to say that no other experience in my life will ever rival The Silence of the Lambs adventure. From the first time I tore through the pages of Thomas Harris's brilliantly detailed novel, to collaborating with my fellow artists and craftsmen, to riding the roller coaster of our Oscar sweep night, that film experience has always felt like a blessed thing. I can see the irony. After all, silence is dark. An entire generation of moviegoers can still drum up the grinning horror of the cannibal Dr. Lecter and his vicious, despicable Buffalo Bill. But let us not forget Clarice Starling and her reassuring pulse of humanity. Her mission, after all, is to save women, to face the monster inside and out, to stop the god-awful screaming of the lambs. No one understood that strong-hearted principle quite like Jonathan Demme. His classic vision of the female hero jump-started a new generation of cinema. He managed to entertain and tease while challenging the audience to think and feel deeply. It felt like a magic trick, that and pure inspiration. I know that all of us, Jonathan's loving collaborators, thank him for taking us on the ride of our lives. We love you, JD. May that infuse a new viewing of your film with all the emotion you intended." So, yeah, that is very impactful. And there's so many layers to this movie. Is there anything like of note that message-wise or like deeper meaning that you guys kind of picked up on that you want to talk about? Because I mean, I watched this film and I really enjoyed it, but I feel like I have to watch it a couple more times to really fully understand the depth of it. But I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Not necessarily of a message, no, but I do want to point out one scene that was particularly like made me kind of uneasy was at the very ending, not like the ending, but it was close to the end, the scene where she's in pitch black trying to figure out where he is. He has the night vision and she cannot see him, yet she shoots anyway. I'm like, why don't you give one more to the head just to make sure?
Yeah.
How can you really be sure he's dead?
Yeah.
But that was just, I mean, I was on edge.
Oh, yeah.
Not like throughout this entire film, not even just that scene.
It was just so well done. One. Yeah. Very, very well done. Mr. Gardner, any thoughts?
So, to me, listening to Jodie Foster's writing that you just read about her experience with that movie, and I'm sure that movie sort of I'm sure it changed her life, her career. Okay. But she was talking about how the character of Clarice Starling was saving humanity or fighting for humanity to save the young girl who was abducted. But I also think it was a how do I put this? she was saving herself. She was saving all females. If you look at some of the ways things were shot in the film, there's a scene where she enters the elevator at the FBI headquarters, and everybody in the elevator, they're all men, they're all 6'2", and here she is in the middle of it, just kind of looking up, and it just points to the vulnerability of women. And I don't want to go too much into it because as a male, I don't really understand that, but I know that that's real. Yeah. And it's sort of a feminist film, like the way Jonathan Demme shot it. Like, you look at all the scenes with Clarice and with women in the scenes, and you can feel the vulnerability that and I think in some of the interviews that he's done, he talks about, trying to capture that aspect of humanity.
That's brilliant. Yeah. I mean, that's the real horror there, right? It's just the vulnerability and just how intense and scary it is. Yeah. But it is important what Jodie Foster's character Clarice stands for, what she's fighting for, and genuinely that made the film again all the more interesting to watch. It had so many messages in terms of that that I also again just can't go into. But
well, I mean, look at her character, how she interacts with her superiors. They're all male. It's a male-dominated field, and she's trying to cut her teeth in this field where nobody trusts her, nobody values her opinion, and yet she's the one that ends up solving the case at the end. And she's having to earn her respect all the way through. And my gut is if there was a sequel to this, that wouldn't change, because that's always something that's happening in our society. Whether the people that that in those fields where certain genders are dominated or certain races or whatever, like you're always having to try to fight for respectability, for appreciation, for to be legitimized.
Exactly. I mean, at that moment in the film at the end where they say to her, "We couldn't have done this without you. No one will forget that." That is just such a rewarding moment, and it shows you that's the whole journey. That's the whole point of the film, for sure. I guess real quick in terms of sequences, like you said, this is a bit of a change, but I do want to bring up one of my favorite sequences in the film in terms of like the way it was shot and portrayed. It has to be the elevator sequence when Hannibal first escapes. That was genuinely so intense, so fun to watch. And having like the idea of having the elevator hand be a sign of like where this mysterious threat is looming and where they're going, like the reactions from the cops and stuff without us actually fully, not cop, but you know what I mean, but the reactions from them as we don't understand, like we don't fully see what's actually happening and taking place, is incredible. It's
you
so
kind of
good.
have to suspend your reality a little bit, because how did he get that guy all the way up in that room? He's hanging from the rafters,
that fast
kind
too.
But it does speak to like he's sort of like this superhuman villain, but you don't see what he does, except for in that scene right before that where they're in this big cage. It looks like a WWE like wrestling ring, and he's listening to classical music and just taking his time. It's like he's enjoying some fine dining or something. It's hilarious.
The imagery though of like him hanging up, like, and like the lights coming from behind with the fog, beautiful, beautifully well done. Oh man. I mean, if you put all like the logistics of it aside, it definitely is a sight to see, and it blew my mind, because when he first peeked through, I'm like, wait, is that a statue or something? And then you see, and it's like an actual like person. It's like, oh my gosh, man. It's so good. It's so good.
One little nugget from that scene, one of the guards or the police officers in that scene is a singer named Chris Isaac. And he did there was a song called "Wicked Game." That was very popular along that time. So that's like a little like nugget of like a famous singer that was featured in the film during that scene.
Wow, I did not know that. That's so cool. Oh my, I mean, it genuinely, it's so entertaining. And him wearing the face of
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that until a while.
I didn't realize that either.
I was shocked.
And he stood up in the ambulance, tore it off. Oh, and then we cut to like the aftermath after. Like it's genuinely so awesome. Like we don't even need to see it, and it just gives you chills.
The aftermath and the phone call got me too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
And I instantly knew what he was talking about. I'm like, okay, yeah, that guy's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to have a friend over for dinner.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
have a friend for dinner. Yeah,
is the dinner.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because it's like it's sort of this. It's sort of one of the things that has happened more and more in drama and shows and movies is, you know, he's kind of like an anti-hero,
right,
in a way, because he helps Clarice. He helps, you know. He helps advance her career. He helps her find the killer. Like he's like this hero, but yet he's like this, you know, otherworldly, you know, villainous serial killer, you know, mastermind.
Right.
And then you have the other serial killer in Buffalo Bill, who's played by Ted Levine, which I don't know if you guys know who Ted Levine is, but he's a character actor who's been around for a long time. You know, he's kind of like seen as the if you put those two characters together, people have way more sympathy for Hannibal Lecter than Buffalo Bill. But really, they're not that different, you know, in terms of like
exactly violence.
But in terms of how they're portrayed in the movie.
Well, also, I think it's like worth noting that it feels like at least based off what we've seen that Hannibal stands for the right things, but he does the wrong, you know, reasons. Like but it's very
he always
backwards.
has ulterior motives.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It is interesting noting like these villains and stuff and how they're portrayed, and like it's so much nicer to see a villain that is just much more, you know, impactful and layered rather than just being purely black and white evil people. I think a great example would be like Shiger from No Country for Old Men. You know, that character stands for so much, and even though it's such like a flat person and doesn't have much background, it still is a character that resembles and, I mean, like represents so much more than he actually is. And I got a lot of vibes of Shiger when watching Hannibal Lecter. Of course, they're completely different characters and have different motives and all that stuff, but it is awesome to see. It's always entertaining to have a villain that is, you know, seems normal on the outside and may not have much to them, but the more you learn about them, the more you see the way they act, it unfolds, and you learn a lot more about the character, but also about yourself and, you know, the message the film's trying to portray, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, we can wind down here.
I did want to say one thing. So
okay.
I don't know if you guys will ever do a part 2 of a film or revisit a film later on.
Yeah.
But if you ever did, one of the things that people talk about with this film is that this isn't really a horror film. It's a love story. It's a love story between, and not like a romantic love, but a love like in terms of like a platonic relationship. It's a love story between Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter. And so it might be fun to revisit just their relationship and how that evolves throughout the film.
Yeah.
And, you know, you talked about the phone call at the end. He calls it because they're connected. They're a pair in a lot of ways. And it sort of mirrors the obsessive nature that detectives have when they're encountering these criminals, these masterminds that they don't understand, that they can't seem to catch or pin down. And you'll see that trope a lot.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're kind of obsessed and they're connected with these guys. So it's kind of interesting.
It's not like what is it? It's not like what is it, Stockholm syndrome, where it's like it's like the guy who, like, somebody who has somebody captured and like the capturer and the capturee is like, but it's kind of like that to like a different degree. But I totally get what you're saying. It's like there's another movie like Long Legs. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Long Legs, but Nicolas Cage's character is Long Legs, and it's not to this extent where it's like a actual, like, you could see some kind of connection, but there is that obsessive nature to the point where they defy their own, like the detective, the FBI agent in this movie, defies her own boss in order to, get closer to and like starts doing some things that you wouldn't normally see. It is an interesting trope, and it is very entertaining to watch. But that is something that would be interesting to look back on.
There's been a few other movies that have been done surrounding Clarice's character and Hannibal Lecter's character.
Really?
And so, like in the books, and I haven't read all the books, but it's this. She's constantly, or there's, her boss, I can't remember his name, are using Hannibal Lecter, and he's using them to try to, solve another murder,
Right.
solve another crime or whatever.
Yeah.
But in this film, the reason that this film is that resonates, because this is the beginning of the relationship. This is where, they kind of like, they connect, and then it sort of seems in the other movies it's that pull isn't as strong for whatever reason.
Gotcha. That's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, we'll give our final thoughts real quick. For me, definitely want to see this movie again. I feel like there's so much more to it that I just didn't get to experience the first time watching, because I was just so appalled by, like, genuinely how much this movie shocked me and impressed me. It was crazy. It was awesome. I feel like it couldn't be replicated today. There's so many like techniques in this film that you would never see in a movie today, and I feel like this film wouldn't be the same without it, right? I feel like it was made at the perfect time. And I know there's like a spin-off called like Hannibal or something that happened, and I can already tell like that was nowhere near anything like this. But genuinely great film, and can't wait to watch it again. McKenna?
There is another one. There's two, and then there's.
Is there a full-on sequel?
There's Hannibal and then Red Dragon. I know.
Red Dragon. Okay. Never heard.
And my dad did say the killings are much worse than those.
Yeah.
If you can imagine that.
But see, they emphasize the gore more, right?
I don't know because I haven't watched
Well,
it.
if he means like the killing is where I'm assuming it means like they go heavier on the gore, right? So like just like with every remake. And again, that's like you said, that kind of like steers away from the magic of this film,
Right,
keeping
right.
it subtle.
But I enjoyed this film, and I would watch it again.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like whenever you rewatch something, going back to our rankings episode of this season that we had Max in here, rewatching something, you always find something new
Exactly.
within the film that you didn't notice before.
Right.
And I feel like it's something different every time.
Absolutely.
Like, even if you watch it a second time, you're still missing something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And that plays into nuance as well.
Mr. Gardner, final thoughts?
Yeah, it's a brilliant film. I enjoy watching it. It's got to be one of the most iconic characters of all time in Hannibal Lecter, and also one of the most frightening. All while there's only one scene of violence, and even that is treated like it's like art.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
With him. So it's just a fascinating film, and we didn't even get into some of the cinematography and like how it's shot, and some of the things that Jonathan Demme does to make it even more frightening. But yeah, I love this film. I haven't seen it in a while, but like I used to watch this once a year.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah. Well, yep. Hopefully, I can make it a part of my tradition now for every Halloween, because it's genuinely really fun to watch. Well, that's gonna just about do it. Sorry I had to make this a quick one because we just have to get this out pretty fast. But thank you guys for tuning in. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and check us out on Spotify. Rate us out of 5 stars. It helps the show out a lot. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Gardner. It was really fun to have you on, talk a bit about this movie. Hopefully we can have you on in the future for a more in-depth, longer episode of sorts. But yeah, it was great. Great having you on.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, that's all. McKenna, you can close us out.
Well, thank you for watching another episode, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
See you later.